This is a film study to talk about the multiple issues that the Ravens defense had in their 37-20 loss to the Chiefs. I'm going to summarize a couple of points here early. Obviously, it all points back to John Harbaugh. He's the guy who is in charge of this organization from a coaching standpoint. And right now, on one side of the ball, we're getting absolutely outcoached. So I'm going to give you 5 or 6 factors that I think are leading to what we're seeing on the field, which is people playing slow, indecisive, taking bad angles, but bad angles oftentimes relates to pre-snap alignment, basically where your feet are, where you're standing relative to the coverage and the formation that the offense shows. Number one, we're playing too many coverages. And when I say that, I mean these are coverages that are called in the huddle by Zach Orr. You never see anybody check coverages on the field. At least I don't. It doesn't happen that often compared to other teams that we've had in Baltimore in the past and other situations across the NFL. Basically, we run our defense that's called in the huddle oftentimes, and when we don't, we're just playing man. And that leads me to point number 2. In certain situations, 3rd and 6, 4th and 2, we have an over-reliance on man, and that's been easily exploited by the better quarterbacks that we've faced. In reverse, Mahomes, Goff, and Josh Allen. 3, I think this is somewhat related to a couple of the points number 1 and 2, 0 physicality on defense. And I'm talking about when dealing with the pass game. In routes that are down the field, fine, you can't touch after 5 yards. So when can you make contact? You can make contact from 0 to 5 yards, and we never take advantage of that. That's a theme that's been in Baltimore's defense even since Mike McDonald was here. You guys may recall me talking about that after the loss to the Chiefs in the 2023 AFC Championship game. We had 7 opportunities in the first half to put hands on Travis Kelce, and we were 0 for 7 in those. And the same dynamic exists now. We don't touch tight ends or receivers that are crossing our face, and it just seems to be something that's not taught, and I think it continues to punish us. 4, our alignment rules. Whatever rules there are, let's put it this way, are possibly changing from snap to snap. I'm talking about inside linebackers generally. And they're not related to, or at least they're not taught, relative to the coverage that we're playing. I'm talking about at least 1, if not 2, of the times where passes caught are attributed to Teddy Buchanan, who I think on 3 of these plays, at least 2 of which I'll show you, really it's not his fault. It's the coach's fault and the people that are organizing the defense, their inability to coordinate things in a way that helps players succeed. Horizontal conflict, any horizontal conflict, puts this team in severe conflict and trouble. Trying to handle it, it just does not seem sound, and I think other teams are seeing it. Anything you can do with a run action to one side and a play action to the other, or like the reverse to Worthy, or motion to one side, really, I think, stretches our defense past the point of credibility. Yeah, there was injuries and some rookies out there on the field, but our issues predate those guys being on the field so much. It's 2025. It's week 5 of 2025 now, or we're leading up to week 5. We had the same issues 1 year ago plus 4. What I mean when I say that is 1 year ago plus 4 weeks. Essentially, week 1 against the Chiefs last season looks like pretty much the same defense, and it really is. So we'll get this started with the 4th and 2 that Kansas City converts on their first drive. And they're going to pick, rub, or shield Marlon Humphrey. Also, a nice job, if you ask me, of the way the route is designed for Worthy. He's running up the field to kind of press Marlon off, such that this little snag or this hook can actually pick Marlon. Maybe we need to make contact with him, but a larger point for me exists, and that's when the chips are down. Think of the Super Bowl win against the 49ers a couple of years ago. They're a right-handed football team, and they always have been. It's an empty formation, and you can see that they're all working to the right, offensive line and Kelce. Smartly, we have rolled down Hamilton into the box. I don't know why we don't do that more often. In fact, that's going to be one of the things I'll recommend here in this video that we should see this defense do more often. So there's the pick, rub, shield, whatever you want to call it. Why don't we do that more often? It seems like we do not. Last week against the Lions, they major and man, they play so much of it. I didn't see too many pick or rub routes that I recall. In any case, same play from the end zone angle. You can see that the ball is on the hash with the wide side to the Chiefs' right, to our left. And the way that they block it with Hamilton rolled up is basically they just take the tight end and the right tackle, and they double-team Tavius Robinson. Since Kyle Hamilton is in man on Kelce, he's not going to be able to impact this play at all. Why am I bringing that point up? They know we're in man. And so they know that Hamilton is basically wasted here from the standpoint of he's not going to blitz, he's not going to cover anyone, and they just outflank us. Yeah, you can say, oh, they're targeting Marlon Humphrey, and technically they are, but it's a larger point to me. They know what coverage we're going to be in on 4th and 2. And so over the course of the given week, they can design certain plays to attack us. It's a cheat code, really, and the Chiefs exploit it all the time. I'm not saying it should be illegal. I do wonder if we could be maybe a little bit more physical in the way we're handling some of these. But like I said, Worthy's getting up the field a little bit, kind of threatening Marlon, who then gets screened or picked by Juju. Still on the first possession, obviously they were able to retain the ball. 1st and 10, and it's going to be a run to the weak side. I do think Tavius Robinson played well at times in this game. We're going to focus this pretty much on the first half because the game is really over functionally in the second quarter. And I do think I would like to see Buchanan come downhill a little bit more, a little bit sooner. He's got a little bit of a conflict in terms of the gap that he thinks he has or that is assigned to him on paper. And so he doesn't press. I'm talking about downhill now. When you get the end zone angle, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm actually less harsh on Buchanan than many others in this game because I feel like he's put in conflict in the pass game. It's a 4-yard gain. Maybe I'd like to see Tavius not be so far upfield, but he doesn't know whether, it's a reach block or what when the right tackle steps to him. So, he ends up folding back inside here. And the reason why I say maybe he's slightly too far upfield is if the running back does bounce it, if Tavius doesn't get so far upfield, then we're just running. Then we're just turning it into a horizontal run action. I always liked to be able to see inside linebackers take their angle and go. And there's just a little bit of indecision here for Buchanan. I'm not super upset about the way that he played, to be honest with you, compared to a lot of other people in the pass coverage. But I am upset about stuff like this. This is Brent Urban and Roquan on the backside. And Roquan's playing slow, obviously. I wonder if he was injured coming into this game. But these are false steps to me. Yes, we're used to playing with Matabike in front of us, and Matabike never gets scooped, okay? What I mean by scooped is the left tackle, the rookie Simmons, just kind of bumping Urban a little bit. This doesn't happen with Matabike. Matabike is moving down the line, and Simmons is going to have to work for it. So basically, Matabike would stay in this gap. And so from a Roquan standpoint, he could play the other gap, right? If Roquan, or excuse me, if Matabike is on the field or Urban plays it differently, then he's here. But Roquan has to understand that, in my opinion, number one. Number two, he's got to be lined up in a position where he can cross the midline if we need him. This is set up to where it could be a big run, bringing this thing back, if you ask me. But in any case, Urban scooped here. Roquan can't false step. He's got to be better than that, in my opinion. I think you see what I mean in that Buchanan has got, technically on paper, Buchanan has this gap, this D-tackle has this gap, and Tavius has this gap. That's fine. A lot of people who just talk about gaps in defense really don't know defense because at a certain point in time, you're just getting to the damn football. I think Buchanan could play it a little bit better, but that's not my major complaint here. We were fortunate. It was only a 4-yard gain, in my opinion. 3rd and 7 on the same first possession, and it's a flex set. So a couple of things here from an awareness standpoint, but just globally what we're doing with our two safeties. I wonder if maybe we've got to get into more one high safety look. So we're just spinning. Hamilton dropping to the middle of the field, and Starks dropping out, right? The routes, the way that this works out, this is Hamilton, and then this is Starks. Like I said, the routes, the way this works out, Kelsey goes to the middle of the field. I feel like Awuzie could have a little bit better awareness of where his help's going to be. And this is something that's systemic with this Ravens defense. This is dating back to last year. It's man-free, essentially. People are going to call it robber, whatever you want to call it. You have help in the middle of the field. And so as Awuzie trailing, he doesn't need to then lose Kelsey so much. You can see that Hamilton's kind of taking this over. By the way, it's a pass defense for Tavius Robinson. I think Wiggins is beat here. There's no push-off. There's no push-off really from Juju, in my opinion. So Wiggins gets beat, and it's open or available for Juju. If you ask me, if it's not tipped, it's probably a touchdown. Give you the end zone angle so you can see T-Rob's pass defensed, and then also so you can see the space that Juju had if the ball doesn't get tipped. So here we are right here. I think he's playing really well. I think he's got to be on the field. I think he's got to be on the field as much as possible. He's a young guy in his 3rd year now, I believe, and want to see what he can do. No, he's not getting tremendous sacks. He did have one in this game, or tremendous pressure on the quarterback. Nobody is, in fact. You can see that Juju is definitely out ahead of Wiggins. You probably got a view of it as well from the all-22 angle. We were lucky, I think, there to hold him to a field goal and lead 7-3 somehow. It feels really weird to even say that the Ravens were winning this game at any point in time with the way things turned out. Second possession, and we're really exploited, in my opinion, on the 2nd and 8. The Chiefs end up putting 4 to the boundary. So what I mean by 4 to the boundary, let's get that out of the way, is running back Worthy, who beats Marlon on this, and then 2 tight ends. So it's 12 personnel and then 4 to the boundary. And Marlon's eye discipline is really lacking on this play and multiple times so far this season. Look at it. I don't know what he's doing. Jumping to the inside as Worthy's getting vertical. There's no connection to the way that this should look and what Marlon's doing for that moment, jumping to the inside. But in any case, whether, it should be Marlon, whether as a fan we think it should be Marlon or Wiggins on him, clearly we think Wiggins is playing better, and we would prefer for him to be matching this vertical by Worthy. So fans aren't wrong for that. We do generally go right and left. I think Awuzie's playing well to the other side for the most part this year. Why are we dropping Ajabo out? This is what I mean with one of the original points that I made, in that we just play the coverage called. We just play the coverage that's called no matter the formation or who the threat is. If this is, prime DeAndre Hopkins, prime Michael Thomas or whatever, and we want to drop an outside linebacker out underneath to help the corner, I'm talking about here, I understand that, right? I understand that it's a 2nd and 8 or even a 3rd and 8. We're trying to give help to a corner who's outmatched. That's Tyquan Thornton up there. Good player, good young player. The Chiefs are definitely taking advantage of his talents. I don't think we have any awareness at all. I don't think our coaches have any awareness at all of what I'm talking about, and that could be really wrong. But you're welcome to let me know here if this makes zero freaking sense to you at all. There looks like 4 eligible receivers over here to me. If I'm going to drop someone out, and it's the Kansas City Chiefs, who are right-handed based anyway, I feel like I'd like to drop someone out here and maybe clog up a passing lane to the side where they have 4 receivers, as opposed to the one receiver who's up here, who is a good player. Obviously, he's in the NFL, but he's not a special talent. That's my problem with this defense. I think we're calling plays, and we're not just matching up with the formation at all. We don't have any formational awareness, and the Ravens aren't the only team. To be honest with you, I've heard from multiple other people that so many teams don't look at it like formations, and I think that's why our defense is broken. We've got zero awareness. That's one of the reasons why our defense is broken. Same play from the end zone angle. There you go, the 4 to the boundary. It's on our left. The Ravens' defense is left. We know what happens with Marlon and with Worthy. There's Ojabo dropping out. Green's, really struggling at this point. I feel like in order to get something out of Mike Green, we need to simplify things, and that's going to be one of my suggestions overall that I think the Ravens have got to get to is simplify things. Yes, Marlon got beat, and he's playing poorly in my opinion. I'd like to see Wiggins matched up on Worthy. In my opinion, we've got to have better calls and better adjustability on the field, like so many of the other teams that we faced in the last couple of years, basically teams that can match our formation and stop what we actually do. It doesn't look like to me our game plans are specific to the opponent that we're facing. And I know that sounds like that's a shocking statement to a lot of people, but that's just not what I see. Still second possession, and it's a 1st and 10 in the second quarter. So this one is extremely frustrating for me. Someone gets this wrong, and we can argue about who that is. Buchanan, again, I've been critical of that pick, and I'm not a huge fan of it even still. But I will say this. At least he's decisive. I think he's probably wrong. This looks to me like we're rotating Hamilton down and then rotating Starks back. Now, some would say, well, Coach, I just think Hamilton is playing man on Kelsey. I don't think so, based upon Wiggins' reaction. Either Buchanan got this wrong or both of these guys did, or one or both of these guys did. I really don't care who got it wrong. I don't care. It's the fact that it's a different player on every snap, or maybe not every snap. It's too often, in my opinion. Additional to that, we're clearly not playing man here with Marlon inside leverage. So to me, this looks like cover 3, and Buchanan should be holding. It's an RPO, quick read by Mahomes, fine. I really don't care about whose fault it is. You're welcome to discuss that in the comment section if you want. This is very similar to a read that the Ravens had against the Lions, in that the right tackle stepped to the defensive end, and Lamar put the ball in Henry's gut. Jack Campbell came downhill and made the tackle. I put it on social media intentionally as a troll attempt, and I didn't say anything. I did read the comments, and there was 2 former NFL players that are talking about that it's an RPO where there's no attached slant to it, dummy. And what I'm talking about is like this right here is the window that Hollywood Brown is going to run onto. I think that Buchanan should be in that window if it is a cover three. Fine. But my point is, we're not integrated. We're not coordinated overall as a defense. It's week 4 of the 2025 NFL season. We're in the second year under this defensive coordinator. And any horizontal conflict, we're beat. What I mean when I say horizontal conflict is Kelsey out in the flats, running back going in the opposite direction, and then the attached RPO to it. I'm calling that some horizontal conflict because there's action to both sides of the formation. One to the right, Kelsey, and then to the left, the running back, I think it's Kareem Hunt, along with the attached slant that hit us for 18 yards. Still in the same possession, ball's in the middle of the field, and it's a 1st and 10 once again. And we go trips. To me, this may be one of the things we've got to do, and that's move Hamilton down to the tight end side. I would say that if I was to be asked for suggestions by any fans, I would say get Hamilton to the tight end side, number one, and get Buchanan away from the running back. With Roquan out, I should say. That's generally going to put Buchanan to the field and possibly on the same side as Hamilton in certain formations. I do wonder about, it's a nice play by Urban. I think he splits a double team here, and Hamilton's presence, you can see, makes things happen a little quicker. It ends up being a 2-yard gain. I do wonder if, we've got to be a little bit more middle of the field based or to trips when we're facing a team that's got a backside X receiver like Juju. I don't know why we need 2 backside guys with the inside linebacker with this alignment. Talking about Buchanan's outside foot thatched to the outside foot of the left tackle. If Buchanan was over here for whatever reason, if Buchanan's feet were here and Roquan's feet were there, then fine, we probably do need the safety there because we need someone to be able to come downhill into this space if it's a run concept. We do not seem to be integrated, in my opinion, in terms of our pre-snap alignment based on the coverage that we're playing, keeping in mind the formation and personnel that we're facing. I'm a big person on formation. I recognize that a lot of people are not. In any case, this is what I'm talking about. Urban splits the double team a little bit late. Isn't able to finish the tackle. Kyle Hamilton comes downhill. He gets credit for the tackle. I would like to see more of this if we're facing tight ends like Travis Kelce. Put one of our badass defensive ends kind of in his face. It's a run play. We're not, quote, touching him from the standpoint of him releasing out into a route. But that's kind of the alignment that I think I'd like to see. It's a gain of 2 yards. Kick Hamilton down some more to the field or wherever the tight end is, basically, and try to keep Buchanan away from the running backs. I will talk about some of his coverage stuff a little bit later in this video. Second possession, 2nd and goal. We are obviously going to hold them to a field goal here. I like this coverage down in the red zone. I know we didn't play well, and there's going to be at least 2 plays here where I kind of have some respect or at least acknowledge that we had good reps, and this is one of them. It's a funnel coverage with a 4-man rush. Somewhat conservative, if you ask me. Roquan ends up being, man on the running back here. I think it's Hunt. And right about now is where Mahomes is actually looking. This is obviously not really aggressive in terms of trying to get at the quarterback. It's only a 4-man rush. Mahomes moves around, but look at the connectedness that we displayed. So simple coverage, just trying to funnel those guys in between the outside corner and the nickel, in between the outside corner and I think the will linebacker. I believe that's Buchanan. Both of those guys, Buchanan and Marlon, try to match up and just swallow eligible receivers during the play, with the outside corners really looking for work. I'm talking about Awuzie at the bottom and Wiggins at the top. So the funnel coverage has always been something that's fun to watch and try to understand depending on the releases. In this case, it worked. We held Mahomes, forced him to kind of throw the ball out of bounds, and then still retained somehow a 7-6 lead into the second quarter. You'll see Buchanan and the tight end come back into the screen from our left. There's Roquan matched up. I think that's Hunt, but I might be wrong there. And then here is Buchanan. It allows those guys a little bit of a zone relationship to see the quarterback and maybe see the routes in front of them or to the side. I think playing less coverages, especially with all these rookies on the field, is probably in our best interest at this time. All right, moving to the third possession. The first thing that I thought of in watching the film here was, I like combat sports, boxing and MMA, the UFC. I thought of the Floyd Mayweather-Conor McGregor fight from years ago, where Floyd kind of was in first or second gear in the first 2 or 3 rounds, and Connor probably won 2 or 3 of those rounds, but not much damage was taken by Floyd at all. And then all of a sudden, fourth or fifth round, Floyd started revealing layers of the game to Connor that he just couldn't match up with, because the type of training, the years of training that they had done in the boxing ring was such a drastic difference. And this is what I mean. The Chiefs are obviously Floyd in this comparison, and we are Conor McGregor, unfortunately. It's probably an apt comparison. 1st and 10, this is going to be the reverse to Worthy, and we are in a one-high look. It's a really nice play design, in my opinion. Starks is going to be the guy who doesn't hold for boot, counter, or reverse. The guard pulls, the left guard pulls, as well as the H-back 83. So they're making it look like run to this side, and then Starks is just not going to hold long enough. He's looking for the football. You get multiple examples of some of our rookies, looking to find the football. Hamilton recognizes it now. He's coming downhill, but, it's just too late. Offensive lineman gets out there in front of him. I think it's Josh Simmons, who seems to be playing well so far. I know he was on the board when we took Starks. I'm not into all that right now. I mean, I'm rooting for Starks, and I'm hoping that he starts to have an impact. He clearly hasn't so far. And I like Josh Simmons as well, and I hope he has a nice career there in Kansas City. I'm glad to see him healthy and playing well. It's a big game for Worthy. They used him smartly. I do think, nonetheless, despite this play ripping us out of a one-high look, that at least if we played out of a one-high look more often, we would have consistent rules. And what I mean is, if you're the curl flat player, whether it's man, whether it's zone, whatever, in a one-high look, you've got boot counter reverse. That is something, that I understand. I would like to see us have more simplified rules, especially if guys like, Roquan, Matabike's out for the year at this point. Marlon is out, I would assume, for this week. If we're going to have so many new players on the field, I would like to see things, see them put in position to succeed as opposed to being overwhelmed, which I think even our all-pro type players have been overwhelmed so far this year. So here's Starks in excellent position to possibly come downhill and play, a boot by the quarterback. There is no boot. The quarterback's going the opposite direction. There's no counter, but you do have the reverse. And he's caught up completely, has no idea where the ball is, obviously. We're not getting anyone there at all from an edge player position. Hamilton tries to come downfield, unable to make the tackle because Simmons is out in front. We're getting exploited at this point. The Chiefs are no longer stuttering. We are still up 7-6. We were able to hold them to 2 field goals. I wonder if that's got to be our MO, which is just kind of accept that teams are going to move the ball. It'll mean less possessions for our offense, but try to just be a little bit better red zone defense. A lot better red zone defense, than we have been. So still in that third possession, this is a 2nd and goal, and they're going to return Hollywood Brown and end up basically with 4 to a side. And my question for you is very similar to the one that I asked earlier, is where does the ball go? And what are we doing up here on the backside? So if we've got Travis Kelce as the backside X, or Juju, or Tyquan Thornton, I don't know why this guy who's excellent in coverage isn't moved over to where the obvious point of attack is. When you have 4 to a side, they're pretty much telling us where we're going. It does bother me to no end that we've got 0 physicality on receivers at all. I get it. The NFL says you can't touch people past 5 yards and the ball's on the 4-yard line. I think that's related to the first point that I brought up, which is if Hamilton was in a better alignment for us to support Roquan, then maybe we would feel comfortable trying to knock his head off. And if we get a penalty at times, so be it. But what we're doing now is not working. This lack of physicality in dealing with receivers, tight ends, running backs is leading to shit like this. It's an easy touchdown for Juju. No hands-on, no physicality. Basically, it looks like a 7-on-7 defense, in my opinion. And the ironic thing is, here's Kelce lined up on the backside. It's a 2nd and goal. Mike Green is literally within a yard of him. And I feel like these are the exact same words I said about Kyle Van Noy and other guys in the 2023 AFC Championship game. We don't touch Kelce, but he actually touches us. That's literally all he does is touch us. But the inability for anyone on our Ravens coaching staff to talk about jabs or body shots, whatever you want to call it, landing strikes on people is important. We don't do it at all. I feel like offensively and defensively, we're a team that's constantly looking for home runs or triples or a big double, and we're unwilling to take a walk or a single or even a hit by pitch. Game's functionally over at this point, at 13-7, and once they get the ball back, I should say, it's basically over. This one is extremely frustrating, and not because it's Teddy Buchanan. I'm going to defend him a little bit. He's put in a no-win situation here. We've got both safeties, Starks and Hamilton, down into the boundary. It is a bunch set. Running back is on the other side. Obviously, that's who Buchanan is covering man-to-man. I do actually suspect that Mahomes saw the coverage, and you'll get it from the end zone angle, and waved Juju back down into the boundary. I'm not saying that he knew he was going to end up scrambling and putting Buchanan in a 2-on-1 situation. Here's Buchanan locked up with a running back. Here's Hamilton. There's really nothing for him to do. And then when Mahomes has the opportunity to scramble, Buchanan's got to come off his man and take him. He gives up the catch. I'm sure it's attributed to him by some of those other, BS rating services. That's all they want to talk about is targets and not actually tell you who's at fault. Sure, Buchanan's at fault. You know who's really at fault? Zach Orr. That's who's at fault. And ultimately above him, John Harbaugh. Those are the two guys that are at fault. First of all, we're outnumbered here to the field. I'm not talking about the receiver and corner, which is Brown and Wiggins up here. I'm just talking about our alignment that you see to the right of this blue line. We have three players. Green, Peebles, I think, is a defensive tackle, and then Buchanan. So that's three. And then they have right guard, right tackle, running back. That's three, but then the center and quarterback count for a half man each. So we're a man down to the field. If you include the receiver and the corner to off screen to our right, then we have four and they have five. We're a man down. We are poorly aligned into the boundary. This is laughable that an NFL franchise is doing this, in my opinion. Yes, it's a 3rd and 6. We do not need both safeties over there into the boundary. It, to me, looks like a coverage we're calling as if we think that's Travis Kelce, meaning we're finally getting our hands on a tight end. Finally. And it's not Travis Kelce. We have Travis Kelce being guarded by Keon Martin, who's a good player, and I like Keon Martin, but it almost looks like we have this coverage called, assuming that the tight end is that Kelce is going to be the slot tight end to the left, and it's not him. In any case, you guys I'm laughing because it's sickening. We are getting held here, the right tackle, who holds all the time. He's really not that good of a tackle, in my opinion, compared to so many of the others in the NFL, but he doesn't get called here. Maybe Green, looks like he's playing soft and trying to sell for the call a little bit. I don't know, but I think it could be called in another situation with a different jersey color on ours. Great color, great hustle, I think, by, I believe that's Peebles, who's tracking him down with no D-end edge defender and a poor alignment to the boundary, and then a poor alignment here, Green. This is easy for Mahomes to get accomplished. I don't blame Buchanan. I really don't blame Green. In my opinion, if you're in that alignment and you recognize it as a coaching staff, I wonder if we did, then you've got to call timeout because you're outnumbered to the field. If you don't have numbers, you're not going to be able to defend things consistently at the NFL level or at any level for that matter. Last play that I'll show you, this is, of course, the cheat play that's going to be blamed or assigned to Buchanan. These four guys have got to be able to play this better. As a coach, you pride yourself on teaching players how to react to things as a unit, as a group, and defend all options. And I'm specifically using options. This is not an option play, right? But option number one, or threat number one, is the handoff to the running back. The threat number two is the quarterback booting out, right? And then you also have the receiver running a route. So we'll ignore these guys for the rest of this analysis. First of all, if Buchanan is responsible for the back, he's got to be reading the back. You can't be outflanked. In this case, we're woefully outflanked, right? Keon Martin has no idea where the football is. Starks has no idea where the football is, right? Both of those guys are still looking in here. I think Keon's actually figured it out right here. You'll get the end zone angle in a moment. I'm not being critical of those guys. The Chiefs could run 100 different plays down here. They have all these red zone and short yardage plays, right? This one happens to put them up 20-7. My point is this is a structural problem in that we have NFL level talent and guys who played at a high level in college football, went through training camp with us. These are not guys who weren't in camp. These are not guys we just picked up off the street. These are guys who have been in our camp all season and in our rookie mini camps as well. All of them. I'm sure Simpson was there as well, even though he's not a rookie. And we can't figure out a way to respond to any type of horizontal flow. Yeah, the linemen are all moving this way. You're in man, and you're the Mike linebacker. In this case, it's Buchanan because Roquan's off the field. You've got to be reading the back. You cannot, we're beat by 5 yards, right? So let's be harsh on Buchanan if you want. Say we have no awareness. He's a rookie. He's not ready. All of those things, fine. Someone's teaching him this. Someone, if that happened in the game, it's happened before in practice. And I just wonder about our alignment rules and having too many coverages that are called. Sorry about that. I wonder if we have too many things we're trying to get accomplished, too many coverages, too many stunts, too many possibilities, a wide umbrella for what our players are being asked to do on defense. And on a snap by snap basis, their efficiency level is going to drop. Let's say we're playing 40 coverages. I don't think we are. That's obviously way too many for anyone, no matter your age, no matter your experience level. We're probably playing somewhere in the span of 15 or 18 different coverages, depending on half field looks and checks. It doesn't look like to me we're playing any of them well. The funnel coverage here down in the red zone, fine. We have the benefit of constricted or less space. And so I think we're going to be able to do those things. Most NFL defenses are. We're not being put in position to succeed. Or and Harbaugh is the direct line up, if you ask me, of responsibility here. For Harbaugh to spend, it seemed like, I could be wrong, for him to spend most of his energy talking about the offense, which had its own issues against the Chiefs, on Monday, for him to spend most of his press conference Monday doing that was the last straw. For it should be for most of our fan base. Certainly is for me. I've got zero faith in his ability to take, in his willingness to take accountability. He might not be, it might not be a will thing. He might not be able to take accountability. Some people just can't. And in my opinion, Zach Orr is a problem for sure. There's other guys there that could help out in this situation. And I mean, from a preparation standpoint, John Harbaugh should be one of them. I don't know that I've seen him go and fix a defensive issue on the sideline. We don't get access to a lot of the film, obviously, and I'm sure that the Ravens aren't going to put out a ton of sideline stuff from this game. This is a make or break moment this week against the Texans. Without Roquan, I guess probably. Without Humphrey, it sounds like most assuredly. They got to simplify things, allow these guys to play faster. There's players on that field with talent. It is no excuse to say that injuries have caused this. We were already playing poorly in 2025 on the defensive side. Worst defense in the NFL. Historically bad defense if this projects out for the entirety of the season. I wonder what the stadium will be like at M&T if they have the nerve to introduce the defense. What would your reaction be? I would boo. I would boo. I don't normally boo anyway, but what we're seeing, this is so far below the standard for the Ravens defense and the Ravens franchise. I don't think that fans would be wrong at all for giving them that kind of welcome and saying, we want better and we deserve better. In any case, that's my opinion and the way that I see some of these plays from the first half. I picked 11. Originally, I picked 6, and then I just kept adding 2 or 3. I wanted to include some commentary about Buchanan because I don't feel like he's being put in a position to succeed. And, if you've watched my content for a while and saw any of my draft reaction videos, I was not really pleased with that pick, but I'm going to try to describe it as accurately as I can based on my own understanding, and that's that I don't think he's being put in a position to succeed, and I don't think that Zach Orr and John Harbaugh right now possibly even have the ability to fix it.